Good day to everybody out there. So it's been a lot of new information that has come out about this Faraji versus Fox and Skip Bayless, and I wanted to kind of go into some of this lawsuit and what has come out. So what we're going to do here is we're going to go to the lawsuit. Essentially, what this Joy Taylor lady, she's very messy. But Faraji, a lot of her complaints seem accurate to me and valid. And I could see a lot of this play out in these big corporations and how they try to cover up sexual misconduct and bribery and bullying and all kinds of sneaky shit. One name that we didn't hear about yesterday was Charlie Dixon, who was an executive at Fox. And he played a big role in letting a lot of things go on. But we're going to get into this lawsuit here. Share. So as you can see here, Charlie Dixon, he's a defendant as well. Skip Bayless, Joy Taylor. You know, when everything came and hit the news, they used the big names. They used Skip Bayless. So we really wasn't familiar with everybody else, but Skip Bayless, we know who Skip Bayless is. But essentially, Faraji, I don't know if I should pronounce her name Faraji or Faraji, but she brings forth this action because for over a decade at Fox, she was forced to endure misogynistic, racist, and ableist workplace. So let's go down here to the complaint, the body of the complaint. She's suing Fox Sports Holdings, Fox Sports 2 LLC, defendant Fox Sports Production LLC. She's suing everybody. And so here it goes. In 2003, Ms. Faraji began to work at Jose Aber Hair Salon. Now let's go down here. That's when, okay. So in approximately March 2016, Ms. Faraji met Ms. Taylor, an aspiring sports personality that had recently moved from Miami to Los Angeles for the opportunity of airtime at Fox. At the time, Ms. Taylor did not have a regular position, but would fill in on day-to-day basis when talent was sick or otherwise missed time. Ms. Taylor told Ms. Faraji that she was recently wed, but her husband remained in Miami and that she was lonely in Los Angeles. Ms. Taylor then befriended Ms. Faraji. In approximately May 2016, Ms. Taylor asked Ms. Faraji to meet for a drink in Santa Monica. When Ms. Faraji arrived, she found Ms. Taylor with an older man, Fox Sports Executive Vice President of Content, Mr. Dixon. As Executive Vice President, Mr. Dixon is responsible for overseeing all content and production on FS1. Ms. Faraji, however, did not know Mr. Dixon. So already we can see that Ms. Taylor, we can assume that she was sleeping with Mr. Dixon based off of just what we're reading here. When Mr. Dixon went to buy them another round of spicy margaritas, Ms. Faraji asked who he was. Ms. Taylor responded that he was just a friend. Following that night, whenever Ms. Faraji would meet with Ms. Taylor for drinks or food, Mr. Dixon would either arrive with Ms. Taylor or show up later in the night and leave with Ms. Taylor. He would always buy rounds of drinks and or food. From their body language, Ms. Faraji suspected that the pair were sleeping with each other. And although this concerned Ms. Faraji, as she knew Ms. Taylor was recently married, Ms. Faraji kept her opinions to herself. In approximately June 2016, while at work, Ms. Faraji noticed Mr. Dixon in the elevator. Surprised by the coincidence, Ms. Faraji found Ms. Taylor and told her excitedly, "The guy who always buys our drinks was in the elevator." Ms. Taylor quickly silenced Ms. Faraji, explaining who he was. Ms. Faraji became alarmed and warned Ms. Taylor that such a relationship was unsafe. Miss Taylor told her not to worry about it. Miss Faraji continued to be friends with Miss Taylor, but tried to distance herself as she considered the situation dangerous as well as morally wrong, as Miss Taylor and Mr. Dixon were both married. So as we could see, Joy was having a relationship with one of the executives at Fox, and she was sleeping with him. So Faraji, she was alarmed, and she basically was letting her friend know that this could be dangerous. But apparently Joy knew what she was doing, and she wanted to proceed with her relationship with him. That's her business, right? Right. So as we go on, in approximately July 2016, word spread amongst Fox employees about a new show that was going to be a big deal, as it would star Mr. Bayless and Shannon Sharpe. It was known that Fox was looking for a woman with significant TV experience to also star. Therefore, it came as a surprise when Fox announced that Miss Taylor, who was a bartender and radio host in Miami with very little TV experience, would be the moderator of the new show, a sports debate program, Skip and Shannon, Undisputed. We all heard of that show. Mr. Bayless later disclosed to Miss Faraji that he did not want Miss Taylor on the show, but Mr. Dixon was adamant that Miss Taylor should star. At first, Mr. Dixon arranged a dinner between Mr. Bayless and Miss Taylor, where she arrived in provocative clothing and acted in a provocative manner. She was already trying to get under Skip's pants, or at least persuade him into having her on the show, because she probably knew from Mr. Dixon that he never wanted her on the show. So she showed up in her most alluring attire, and he wasn't swayed. To be honest with you, I had my own thoughts about Skip Bayless back in the day, but when that did not change, Mr. Bayless's opinion of Miss Taylor, Mr. Dixon asked him to approve of her as a favor to him. Reluctantly, Mr. Bayless agreed to do so as a favor to his friend. Around August 2016, Miss Faraji attended a dinner with Miss Taylor and her husband and Mr. Dixon and his wife. During the dinner, Miss Taylor's husband became suspicious that Miss Taylor and Mr. Dixon were having a sexual relationship. Soon after the dinner, Miss Taylor's husband found evidence of the inappropriate relationship and divorced Miss Taylor. So she was reckless. If he became suspicious at that dinner that his wife was sleeping with Mr. Dixon, they were very, very careless and reckless. And I can only imagine that his wife picked up on that shit as well. But she didn't seem to care. The man seemed, he filed for divorce. In approximately September 2016, Undisputed started. Miss Taylor requested Miss Faraji do her hair. In approximately November 2016, after not allowing anyone to touch his hair, Mr. Bayless also requested Miss Faraji to do his hair. By the way, Skip threw Shannon under the bus by accusing him of sleeping with this lady. When he was in the process of trying to sleep with Miss Faraji, he was throwing and accusing Skip or Shannon of sleeping with her so he can get in her pants. He was upset. I can't believe you would allow Shannon to sleep with you, but you're not allowing me to sleep with you. As the lawsuit goes on, because I'm not going to read this whole lawsuit, I'm just going to cover small parts of it. Basically, what this lady is saying is Joy was sleeping with another guy in Fox One, and she was sleeping with this executive. And when Miss Faraji found out about Joy sleeping with both the executive and one of the talent members, she warned her that this could be an issue. So Joy said, "It's okay. I have a little bit of power now." In other words, I have a little bit of power now. If anything comes about, I'll just say that Mr. Dixon forced himself upon me. So basically, she was going to lie and say that he forced himself upon her. Now, whether he did that or not, she wasn't reporting him up until the fact that if she was to get fired, she was going to say that he forced himself upon her. Now, I got a problem with that. I don't have a problem with someone giving a box away, sleeping with somebody, and if you happen to get a position because of that, so what? Now it becomes a little fishy and tricky when you get into a situation or you get fired and you want to throw that man under the bus when y'all was consensually having sex. That's a problem, because that goes to show that it's a lot of women that's out there thinking like you. And when a lot of these accusations are going on in the news, you are discrediting a lot of these women based on what you're saying you would have done if he would have gotten you fired. That's really a problem. And shit get really tricky. And I think a lot of women out there are pulling this tactics. And not just women, men are doing it too, but mostly women, because it's the men that are usually in these positions to get that box. And when I say box, I'm referring to vagina and yeah. So I think that's a problem. If you read this entire lawsuit, which I mostly read all of it, she blatantly, this is what Mrs. Faraji is claiming that this lady says she was going to do. Now, as we get back into the lawsuit, Mr. Dixon also came on to Miss Faraji. It was at a bar in West Hollywood. It was Mrs. Taylor's birthday, and he had a little bit too many drinks, according to Miss Faraji. He touched her on her back, and she said that he asked her, was everything okay? She said yes, and then he began to move his hands down toward her buttocks and touch on them. So she reported that to Miss Faraji, her friend. I'm sorry, Miss Taylor, her friend, to which she told her to get over it, which was a little weird, which is stated right here. So Miss Faraji was terrified and then turned to her coworker, Anonymous, to discuss the situation. Anonymous responded that Mr. Dixon was disgusting, that the entire situation was sick, but that it wasn't shocking given Fox's culture, and that Miss Faraji should remain quiet if she wanted to keep her job. I must also point out that the lawsuit states that Jamie Horowitz, the guy who bought on or who hired Mr. Dixon as the executive, he was also fired for sexual misconduct and allegations. So he was fired, and then so before he got fired, he brung on Mr. Dixon. And now this culture is continuing to perpetuate. So the lawsuit continues on as we get back into it. She was terrified, turned to a coworker. So, and the coworkers basically said that she should remain quiet if she wanted to keep her job. And as a single mother, she decided to stay on. Now, my thing is this. You can use that at the end of the day, you can use that as a crutch to stay on your job. But if you're really being mistreated, then I think that you should leave your job if that's how you feel and report it. But that should be no reason for you to stay at the job, is because you want to support your child. I don't think that you should do that because you're trying to support your child. If you really want to get out of there, get the hell out of there. You know what I'm saying? But that doesn't give them a pass to continue to do what they do either. So 7 years later, in 2023, Ms. Peretti told Ms. Faraji that she did not like her or anything about Undisputed. Ms. Peretti expanded that she had already scheduled someone for hair on Undisputed when Mr. Dixon called her and told her that she must put Ms. Faraji on Undisputed. For a time, Ms. Peretti told Ms. Faraji, I didn't like that. That's not how things should be done. Ms. Faraji was stunned and devastated as she prides herself on her work and earning her accolades. Later that day, while thinking about her career, she was angry that Ms. Peretti succumbed to Mr. Dixon's request, as it gave Mr. Dixon the feeling that he could grope her for giving her a job. So Mr. Dixon gets rid of a female talent member for refusing to have sex with her. He, according to this lawsuit, he has gotten rid of several people for refusing to have sex with her. And what they do is they reduce your hours slowly but surely, and then after they reduce your hours, they get you off the schedule completely. That's how that happens. It's crazy how it goes, but that's just how it is in that corporate world. So from what it sounded like to me in this lawsuit, just like Miss Faraji has her hours cut after going off medical leave, and when she came back, her hours wasn't able to be resumed as what they were. So we're gonna go down here to. She also got hired on The Herd. Never watched that show. I never really watched Undisputed either. Mr. Diaz racially and sexually harasses Miss Faraji. I don't remember who he was. Oh, that was a guy. He's another. He put the mics and everything in people's ear. Oh, Miss Taylor. This is Joy Taylor. She slept her way to the top. Again, in approximately February 2020, Miss Taylor asked Miss Faraji to meet for lunch in Beverly Hills. When Miss Faraji arrived, she found Miss Taylor with a man, Emmanuel Acho. Mr. Acho. Miss Faraji did not know Mr. Acho, but could tell that the two were romantically involved. A few months after meeting Mr. Acho at the lunch, Miss Faraji noticed him in the hallway while at work. Miss Faraji later asked Miss Taylor if Mr. Acho also worked at Fox. Miss Taylor confirmed and explained that she wanted Mr. Acho to eventually recommend her on the show, Speak for Yourself. So she was using Mr. Acho to get on the show with him. Miss Faraji became alarmed and warned Miss Taylor that she should probably not sleep with Mr. Dixon and Mr. Acho at the same time, as Mr. Dixon is a very powerful man that may become very angry. Miss Taylor told her not to worry about it. She explained that she was also now powerful, and once Mr. Dixon was no longer useful to her, she would follow through on her plan to tell the company that he forced himself on her. She would not allow herself to be forced out by Mr. Dixon like other women talent. That's a big red flag. And, it spreads a lot of light onto what goes on when women get upset with these men and they not having their way anymore. And they decide to start pressing charges on these men and start filing lawsuits to get money. I don't agree with that. If you want to sleep with him, her, whoever you want to sleep with to get to whatever position you want to get to, do your thing. I can't knock you for that. And there's nothing illegal about that, for sleeping with somebody to get to where you want to get to. But when you start to make up lies and say that someone forced themselves onto you, basically sexual misconduct, rape, that is a major problem. Now, this is all alleged at this point, so we don't know if this is accurate or not. But I could see this happening. So, she goes on to say, in approximately 2022 September, Ms. Taylor started to work on Speak. Ms. Taylor requested Ms. Faraji to do her hair. So after sleeping with the guy, she got the job, and she also brought on her quote unquote friend, Ms. Faraji, to do her hair. And, so whatever her plan was, Joy, whatever she was doing, it was working to get to where she wanted to get. In approximately 2020, Jane Doe, an employee at Fox, began demonstrating erratic behavior. One night at an informal dinner at Mastro's Steakhouse, she grew irrationally enraged with Ms. Faraji. It's funny because I haven't been to all these places. And screamed, "F you, you Persian bitch." The dinner ended after Miss M broke a glass and threatened to harm herself. Who knows which that woman went through? Or she may have been on some medication or something. Who knows? Following the dinner, Ms. Faraji's co-worker, Anonymous, who is Black, reported the incident to Human Resources. explaining that she would not be okay with someone calling her a black bitch. Anonymous also had Ms. Faraji report the incident to Ms. Peretti. Despite these reports supposedly being anonymous, Ms. M learned of the reports and became increasingly unstable towards Ms. Faraji. So that's a sign that HR, that's a sign that HR is working with higher ups and letting them know who's reporting what. That's a major problem because when you report something anonymously, it's not supposed to get back to anybody. I don't know if they told who said it, but either way, it should have never got back to them. You see what I'm saying? Apparently, it did get back to them about who it was because they started to treat her wrong. It's crazy. All right. So, following the dinner, oh, no. Approximately 6 months later, Ms. Faraji told Human Resources that she believed her life was in danger. Let's go back here. Human Resources responded that Ms. Faraji should just leave the workplace when Ms. M was having an episode. That don't sound right. If I'm telling you I got a problem with somebody and they're doing this and they're displaying this behavior and it's been witnessed by other people, why would your response to me be, I need to leave the workplace? Shouldn't y'all fire her or give her a warning that if this happens again, that she's going to be out of here? That just doesn't make any sense to me. But after approximately a year and a half, Miss M was fired. Miss M's ex-boyfriend, a producer at Fox, shared that Human Resources gave Miss M a large amount of money in severance. Ms. Faraji wondered why Fox rewarded her bully with money. Human Resources eventually apologized to Ms. Faraji, explaining they did not have experience with mental health issues. Human Resources offered Ms. Faraji free therapy. Ms. Faraji declined the free therapy, but began to see an independent therapist once a week to discuss her life at Fox. Ms. Faraji continues to see the same therapist today. Ms. Faraji believes she was cancer. She has cancer and conveys this to Mr. Bayless. So over the years, she came out and she said that Skip offered her $1.5 million to have sex with her. That's a lot of bread to have sex with a lady, or anybody for that matter. Over the years, Mr. Bayless continued to make advances on Ms. Faraji, lingering hugs, kisses on the cheek, and inappropriate comments that he could change her life if she acquiesced to having sex. Ms. Faraji would always make excuses regarding her son, politely change the subject, or make a joke, anything to keep Mr. Bayless appeased and her job safe. My thing is, if something like this is happening to me on the job, you are stuck between a rock and a hard place. The only thing you can do is report it to HR. So there's a paper trail. So when you do file a lawsuit, you got something to lean on. You see what I'm saying? And if you're not filing those paper trails, and it becomes difficult once you are ready to file those lawsuits. In July 2021, Ms. Faraji developed issues with her left ovary and was advised it could be cancer. With a fourth biopsy scheduled, she explained her situation to Mr. Bayless, hoping that he would take pity on her and cease with advances. Instead, Mr. Bayless told her that he wanted to be with her. Ms. Faraji panicked and began rambling that there were cameras everywhere, that she has a child, and that she does not want him. Mr. Bayless then grabbed her hands, began kissing them, and offered her $1.5 million to have sex with Ms. Faraji. And offered her $1.5 million to have sex. Ms. Faraji made an excuse to leave. Approximately 1 week later, Mr. Bayless made another advance at Ms. Faraji. Ms. Faraji responded, "Skip, stop. You have a wife." Mr. Bayless responded, "Aren't you Muslim? Doesn't your dad have 3 to 4 wives?" Ms. Faraji responded that her father was dead. And when Mr. Bayless looked taken aback, she made an excuse to leave. My thing is this: if I told you I'm not interested in you, why don't you just fall back? Like, with everything that has happened in recent years with the Me Too movement and everything else, that should be enough in your mind to know, yo, if she says she's not interested, fall back. You know everything in there is recorded. But I'm assuming that based on the culture that has been in Fox with Mr. Dixon and other individuals, Skip must have felt comfortable enough to continue to make advances on this lady without being fearful of the consequences. I mean, there's a reason why someone would continue to keep making advances at someone once they say, yo, fall back. I'm not interested in you. I'm not interested. And and you know what? A lot of people get it twisted and confused. Oh, because she's nice to me, or because he's nice to me. After I told him that I'm not interested, he may think I'm still interested. A lot of people may still think that she may not mean what she says she means. Listen, somebody tells you that they're not interested, stop making the advances. That no means yes shit don't that shit don't work. It don't work no more. And I don't think women really mean that when they say no, it means yes. That don't work. When someone says no, stop. You see what I'm saying? On April 12th, 2022, Mr. Bayless texted Ms. Faraji, I'm good today. So basically, he was pulling back already based off of her pulling back and saying she wasn't interested. So I'm good today means I'm chilling. The text meant that he would not be coming in for hair or makeup. On April 13th, 2022, the day later, Mr. Bayless texts Ms. Faraji, not comfortable coming down there. Just do what you need to do. It's okay. Ms. Faraji asked him what was wrong. He replied, same stuff. Worse. Ms. Faraji, concerned about her own job, walked to Mr. Bayless's fitting room to see if everything was okay. Mr. Bayless answered the door, and before Ms. Faraji could speak, he began to angrily accuse Ms. Faraji of effing Mr. Sharpe. So his insecurities caused him to jump on it and say, you're sleeping with my co-host, Mr. Sharpe. Why would he throw Mr. Sharpe under the bus? But later on in the lawsuit, he comes out and says that Mr. Dixon planted that in his ear to sow confusion. So in the midst of all of this going on, even with Skip and Shannon having an issue at the job, people be playing mind games and dirty little tricks, because it comes out later that Skip came out and says that Mr. Dixon was the one that planted that information in his head that Shannon and her was having sex. So they was playing games. He's playing chess on a major level. Mr. Bayless answered the door, and Ms. Faraji tried to explain that she did not have any feelings towards Mr. Sharpe and had never slept with him or any other talent member or employee at Fox. But before she could speak, Mr. Bayless demanded she come to his car after the show. Ms. Faraji responded that she could not come sit in his car as it was inappropriate. Mr. Bayless grew irate and then left. On April 14th, a day later, 2022, Mr. Bayless texted Ms. Faraji, if you're distracted tomorrow, I'll wait till Monday, but I can't keep doing this. Ms. Faraji told him that she was very confused. Mr. Bayless responded, trust me, I'm far from confused. Ms. Faraji then explained over text that she is not sleeping with Mr. Sharpe. Mr. Bayless did not respond. So he probably didn't respond to that text because he didn't even want any traction or any record of him even speaking about Shannon through text about having sex with her. Because remember, he said this to her. She responded through the text message after she felt some type of way, probably some insecurity and losing confidence in keeping her job, that she didn't sleep with him. So that's probably why he didn't respond to that. The next day, April 15th, 2022, Mr. Bayless texted Ms. Faraji, do you still want to do the haircut or just move on? Ms. Faraji responded that she doesn't want to move on from her job and that she will continue doing his hair. On April 16th, 2022, Mr. Bayless called Ms. Faraji. Ms. Faraji did not answer the call because she was scared. She then called him back 10 minutes later. On the call, Mr. Bayless again angrily accused Ms. Faraji of effing Mr. Sharpe. and said that he could tell from her body language that she was effing him. Miss Ferrari tried to explain that she was kind to all talent, and that included laughing and engaging in conversation. Miss Ferrari then asked if he was yelling at her because she refused to go to his car. Mr. Bayless answered that she shouldn't talk to him like that. Miss Ferrari replied that she could respond however she wanted. Mr. Bayless then angrily stated that he heard her talk to Mr. Sharpe about her vagina. Miss Ferrari knew this to be untrue and was embarrassed and angry. Miss Ferrari responded that even if she had been dating Mr. Sharpe, which she wasn't, it shouldn't matter at all because she only had a professional relationship with Mr. Bayless. On April 17th, 2022, Miss Faraji arrived in the makeup room, approximately 12 feet by 30 feet, containing 3 makeup and hair sections, turned on a recording device, put it on the table, and waited for Mr. Bayless to arrive. I must admit, I don't think in the state of California you can record someone without them knowing. So that wasn't right on her part. I mean, for her own records, but in the legal standpoint in court, I don't know if that would have been able to be used. In the meantime, two of Ms. Faraji's co-workers who were privy to Mr. Bayless's actions went into other talent members' rooms. That was a good way to cover her back, adjacent to the makeup room, to listen into the conversation. Mr. Bayless then arrived in the makeup room for Ms. Faraji to cut his hair in accordance with his regular schedule. Mr. Bayless knew that the makeup room was always recorded and clearly states, "This room is bugged." During their conversation, Mr. Bayless stated that he would hate for her to lose her job, but she can't be doing a big thing with my art. But she can't be doing a big thing with my arch rival. She responded by arch rival is your co-host. She responded by reiterating that being polite to Mr. Sharpe is part of her job. Mr. Bayless responded, "Bullshit, bullshit, bullshit. I'm calling bullshit on you." Mr. Bayless then warned that he doesn't want her to lose her job over this. Ms. Ferrari responded that she wasn't going to lose her job because she is a great hairdresser. Mr. Bayless responded, "I have love for you, and I have for 6 years, and you hurt me, and you are ruining this." Ms. Faraji again responded that she must be polite to all talent. Mr. Bayless then implied that if he stopped requesting her, it would affect her job. Ms. Faraji responded that she is scheduled to work every morning at 5:45 a.m., and if he would like to get his hair done, he is welcome to sit in her chair. Mr. Bayless continued to threaten her job. Ms. Faraji knew that he was trying to pressure her into having sex with him, but she kept repeating that she was a professional that had to be kind to all talent. This is disturbing to hear. I mean, listen, Fox has had a record and a history of sexual misconduct and allegations and even settling out of court. Let me know what y'all think in the comments. Do y'all think she should have left her job a long time beforehand? Or should she have kept enduring the harassment? Do you think that what she's saying is true? I think that a lot of what she's saying is true. She may have some inconsistencies. She may have some inaccuracies somewhere, but that happens. I think that this Joy lady, she's dangerous. She's a liar. And she did get those jobs that she was looking for. Her being a liar, saying that she would have this man set up or basically accuse him of something that he didn't do if he fired her, I think that's nasty work. I don't think that, and I think that she's putting a bad rep on women out there who have accused and allegedly taken people to court for rape and other sexual improprieties. I just think that's horrible for someone to do. Once you get fired or once you don't get your way, is to start acting out and saying that this happened and this happened when it didn't happen. This lawsuit is a lot longer. It goes into a lot more things. You can go and Google the lawsuit and read through it if you want. And I just wanted to kind of put some perspective on this, because to me, looking at this lawsuit, Fox, they're dead wrong. Skip, allegedly, he's dead wrong. Joy, she's wrong. I mean, if those and then this Mr. Dixon guy, he's super predatory. Let's just call it for what it is. That man predatory. He's bringing women in, and then once he doesn't get what he wants, he puts them in a position where he knows they're going to fail, and then gets rid of them based off of that. That's a predatory behavior. Who knows what else they've gotten away with? This woman isn't just suing on her behalf. She's suing. It's a class action lawsuit. This isn't just her. This is other individuals who are complaining about the same misconduct happening to them. I could only imagine if these men was black. If these was black men, they'd have been out of there. I'm not going to make this let's just call it for what it is. If these men was black, they'd have been gone. Instead, you got these old executives, white men, and Fox and other organizations, but specifically Fox right here, because it goes into other individuals in the lawsuit too. He wasn't the only one complicit. HR is complicit. The whole damn network is complicit. So, listen, I don't know what's going on over at Fox, but it's got to be a whole lot of restructuring that comes about from this. I never really was a Fox guy anyway. I'm not really a news guy. I mean, I try to keep my ears to the street so I'm not lost. But when it comes to news, I don't really lean in on Fox for my news. I don't lean in on a lot of these networks because I understand that they have shareholders and each journalist is paid. So if you're paid, you're paid to report what I tell you to report, no matter how inaccurate the stories are. That's how I feel about these networks. That's me personally. So I know it's some bullshit going on. And it's crazy because to hear that you're going to set somebody up because they're doing something, because you get fired, that's wrong. And she's not the only one. They all messy. What y'all think in the comments? What y'all think in the comments? Let me know what y'all think. I'm getting ready to get off of here. But Joy, she was for the street. And she probably still is for the street. Again, I don't see nothing wrong with sleeping with who you want to sleep with. There's nothing wrong with that. Don't get that confused. The problem comes in when you don't get what you want and you start making up lies to get someone put in jail. That's when the problem comes about. When you start making up lies, that's a problem because it's a lot of people locked up right now for inaccurate stories. And not only that, if they're not in jail, they publicly have to take a hit until they are found not guilty. So that's crazy. If this woman Faraji is telling the truth, which she probably is, that woman probably did tell her that. I'm going to say he pushed up on me. She's dead wrong. Now, if she want to sleep with him, even though he's married, she can do what she want to do. He's wrong. She's not wrong for sleeping with him. She's not wrong for sleeping with the next man. Only reason she's wrong because she was married. And we don't know what kind of arrangement her and her husband had. So I can't say she was wrong because she was married, but at the same time, if he wasn't aware of this and his wife wasn't aware of that, they were both wrong. Period. But yeah, Skip Bayless, 60 some 70 years old. The chickens have come home to roost. But, it is what it is. This is what the news is today. This is a lawsuit, Faraji versus Fox. And I'm here to say, I'm interested to see what they settle for, because they'll probably settle out of court. 9 times out of 10, when it comes to lawsuits like this, they settling. She's filing a class action lawsuit, and they show how much they made last year. They grossed, man. Shit, Fox gross. What did they gross last year? I know they netted around 1 billion and some change. Might be further up. Coconut water. For those of y'all wondering, it's coconut water. Yeah, I don't know where it's at. I don't want to keep going through this. But I don't know. Let me know what y'all think in the comments. Like, share, and subscribe to the video. More content coming. I'm gonna start getting into more current news and things that are going on when I got free time, because right now I'm on my last end of I'm flying out of here tomorrow, and probably get ready to start doing a renovation project. Start bringing that, showing the videos of that too. But in the meantime, I'm going to get out of here. Got some chores to do, laundry, shower, and some errands. Everybody have a good day. It's Monday, top of the week. Enjoy your work week. Stay positive. And if you're being harassed at your job, start having it documented. Report it to HR. I don't care what the outcome is, because if you can start documenting it, once you do get fired, you have something to lean on. And you probably shouldn't wait until you get fired to sue. You should probably sue soon as you got some evidence that you are being harassed. Cut that shit off at the head. Peace.